Live stream parts.
Okay, so this is going live. And what else?
Quality बद्दल मला थोडा विचारत होता.
Hello. चांगला आहे.
And what else I wanted to do?
Oh, there is a delay.
And
You will need this URL so that we can post it on Facebook.
so here this copy link, here this email. Nothing. @gmail.com. Perfect, and that link I'm going to post it on Facebook.
Yes.
Okay, now you can switch it to the Zoom. And you can check this one, right? Where is the Zoom screen?
Zoom screen. Done. Yeah. Oh, it is already live streaming.
That's it.
Are you able to see us?
Akshay, okay, who is this here? Hold on, man.
Camera याचा की याचा?
Yeah. So we have 3 participants.
Yeah. Madam, you went ahead.
Yes.
Let some volume commit okay, so that when someone is speaking, nobody will get.
You can mute it. Mute it. In fact,
म्यूट याला नाही कर नाही म्यूट नाही आपला आवाज नाही जा
volume बंदच करा.
हां बंदच म्हणजे इट शुड बी मिनिमम यू कॅनॉट
नितीन ते झूम लिंक मी शेअर केली
हां.
जगाबरोबर.
हो ना? Perfect. And this is what it is connected.
It is
So
already
we
live and
already
people
have
are already
members
perfect.
live.
Awesome.
okay
With Sandesh at the helm.
Yes.
No worries about
Sandesh
that.
is take this up.
Yeah. So this is good. We are live, and that link I have to share on Facebook. Only thing is, जेव्हा ते ILC चे team members असतील ना, we have to stop the recording. We have to stop the live stream.
Okay, त्यांनी सांगितलं.
Okay. Other than that, we are okay. And we are also going to announce that. But that's okay. I can get it from the Facebook.
if you are already streaming it with your account you should see it
Yeah.
because someone was able to join.
No. I can see what I can do is Okay.
देखिएगा यहाँ रखा है
याच्यातून आपण सगळ्यांना ऑल म्यूट करता येईल.
इथून म्यूट करता येईल आपल्याला. Because we don't want anyone to stand here. We want someone to control it. Other maybe you can also join from your phone. And then you can also be a co-host and you can also mute people if needed.
It's a Zoom, right?
Yeah.
No, maybe it is also locked.
Oh, okay. I'm so nervous.
Zoomचं आहे का? Zoomचं आहे का? Yes, काय म्हणतोय? मी ऐकलं.
जय भीम सर.
काय म्हणतोस? कशी आहेस?
मस्त.
All well? मी काय ऐकलं, तू न्यू जर्सी मध्ये झालास? नाही, तिथे काय पुण्यामध्येच आहेस का? ओके.
पण आता H1 पीक झालं तर त्याचं
Good man, congratulations. This is a good news because close to 500,000 people applied, right? Yeah. So, but you खूप lucky yes. Because actually all lucky. That's good. मैं आता हूँ क्या? कुछ अच्छा लगा. US में. जितने बना देंगे process वाले. Right. That's good. That's चांगलं news आहे. आणखी कोणाला दुसरं बाकी कोणाला नाही आता होऊन जाईल वाटतं की प्रीमियम त्यांना म्हटलं मी त्यांना पोस्ट करण्याचे प्रयत्न करतो सो त्याच्यात जो टाइम ना मला आता हे करायचं
Host करा, like, better, right? Okay. How do you
Zoom वरती लाईव्ह आहे तीन चार जण जॉईन झाले
Okay, you should be co-host.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, I'm co-host.
Can you hear me if I'm talking?
So मी डायल नाही केलं.
Okay, can you try that? You can mute it from there. Then we should be okay. Correct? Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you check on your
स्पीकर समोरच आहे.
mic check?
Mic check.
Yeah.
You might have done.
So when someone is starting here, you can see them.
Yeah, आहे.
Someone can check the Facebook Live because I'm posting it.
चेक कर याच्यामध्ये फेसबुकमध्ये Zoom वरती.
See if you're live.
चल आपण जाऊ.
गच्छामि Jai to all. Today is one of the newest anniversary, birth anniversary of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. To speak about him is not an easy thing in a short time. But if one wants to speak within 5 minutes, one can put forward in today's period 3 major points
मीटिंग चालू है
which he wanted to get into the practice as his dream. First point and most important point which is dreaming man of the individual caste. So the reason caste is related, as he said to the Marxists, people, that this monster is going to come in way and will not allow you to fulfill your dream in society. And there is no caste, suffering of the caste, pain of the caste system, was one of the very important goals which should be followed in front of all of us. And annihilation means not only of the caste system, but annihilation of duty of labor also. Annihilation of hierarchical exploitation also. So these are the things which are related to not only caste, but division of labor, annihilation of the class also. It is related to gender equality, because gender is a thing which gives rise to confirmation or binding in society, the production of the caste system again and again by controlling women's sexuality. Second point we wanted to fulfill was abolition of Brahmanism and capitalism. I think Baba Sahib has read Marx thoroughly. Listen, if we read Marx thoroughly, because it's possible for him to compare Islam and Marxist thoughts. And precisely looking forward, the most important and most revolutionary propositions of Karl Marx. All Sahib says that we have to agree to these points because these points are talking with position. And that is related to the abolition of capitalism and abolition of Brahmanism. And also
I'm ready, like, they only give a value.
They are they are not to be abolished again because they are not there, people are not following jobs. Still class system is there, still Brahmanism is there, but Brahmanism makes the class system sustain. So this is a very important role for us. Because recently, what is capitalism, primarily? And recently, what is primarily? So this interwovenness, class and day, was very important point. Third point, a very important point, was the proposal for Constitution of the United States of India, which is part of the collective wisdom. He was bringing that proposal to the actual Constitution of India. This proposal was separate. And some other Constitution was passed. The process of this building of this place leave away his other proposals and actually was not satisfied so what was the dream of this proposal? Complete public control over the natural resources, land, water, sunlight, wind, spectrum, etc.
We'll start at 5 minutes, okay?
At the same time, no private ownership in land, and the land should be distributed or cultivation. No other places for living, and thirdly, because that industry, basic industries, he said, should be controlled by the nation, which will be important property. So, in a sense, the grace period when even the wind and the solar system and the spectrum have become commodities, they have become part of the capitalization. Outside the proposal or this is also being is not part of the right proposition are uncompleted. So we should not be satisfied with this democracy in field as I have said that one individual one vote. This equality given. If there is no social and economic equality, this was a strong in relation to real equality, real democracy, and freedom. That is fruitful, unless we are hearing everybody. We bring on raise one of the first university work that speak from the easy thing in a short time. But once you speak within 5 minutes, one can go forward in today's period. 3 major points which he wanted to get into the practice as his dream. First point and most important point which is being impacted by the animate task. Because unless the task is created, as I said, the Marxist that this monster is going to come in a way and will not allow you to use social. Administration of task, but not only the suffering of the task, aid of the task system. We should be forward in front of all of us. Simulation means not only the task system, but simulation of duty of labor also. Aggregation of hierarchical expertise also. So these are the things which are related to not only task, but union of labor. Is related to gender evolution. Because gender is a thing which gives rise to confirmation or finding in society. The production of the ancestral DNA by converting to this. Second point we wanted to was conversion and I think outside Marx thoroughly was impossible to compare and precisely looking forward, the most important and most evolutionary also say that we have to agree to each point for each point of topic, and that is related to evolution of family and evolution of family. Even though people are becoming part of the doing the job
अमेरिकेवरची मीटिंग देखना है यशवंत अमेरिका का मेयर
भले माहिती मी तर केलं काम पाहू आज लाईव्ह मला माहिती केलेला इथे उभी
and some other At the same time, and life industry so initially, this period,
Watching prep. चलो माऊ बघ डेकोरेट करते बाबा साहेबांचा फोटो ही ग्रीन साडी this one this one yeah
काय तिथं पुसायचं पुसायचंय मला
मिलन oh wow हाथ दूंगा
Guys, good morning. I request all of you to please take a seat. Gentlemen, guys, I request all of you to please take a seat. Everybody is outside, please come in. Okay, that's good now. Is it good now? Yeah. Okay. Gentlemen, guys, good morning. Everybody please take a seat. Nitin. Again, a very warm welcome on the first ever Equality Day in Jersey City, as declared by the Township of Jersey City. I welcome you all, and again a big Jai and good night to all of you. As a tradition, we would like to start this program. We want to kick off this program with the Buddha Vandana, reverence, triple gem, and 5 precepts. So I request Mrs. Kanta Patil to please come and grace this occasion. Mrs. Kanta Patil is a retired librarian, and she worked in National Regional Institute or Labor Institute. She is visiting her daughter, and they are in New Jersey. So I request Kanta Patil to please come and grace us. I also request Vinaya Kovagade to please translate the Vandana, Buddha Vandana in English. Thank you. Please welcome Kanta Patil.
सगळ्यांना जय हिंद आणि नमो बुद्ध. आज आपण सगळे बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर यांच्या जयंतीनिमित्त आणि इथे इक्वॅलिटी डे साठी इथे एकत्रित झालेले आहोत. हा माझ्यासाठी अत्यंत भाग्यकर क्षण मी समजते आणि सगळ्यात आधी मी आभार मानते मिलिंद ठेवले यांचे. त्यांनी मला इथपर्यंत आणून उभं केलंय. आणि सेकंडरी माझी मुलगी आणि जावई तुषार आणि दीप्ती थोर यांचे मी अत्यंत आभारी आहे. त्यांच्यामुळे मला आज दिवस बघायला मिळाला. मी कधी स्वप्नातही विचार केला नव्हता. तर बाबासाहेबांनी संपूर्ण अध्ययन केल्यानंतर तथागत गौतम बुद्धाचा जो धर्म स्वीकारला आहे त्या धर्माला अनुसरून आपण वंदन करूया. अरहं सम्मा संबुद्धो भगवान् बुद्ध भगवन्तं अभिवादेमि. स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो धम्मं नमस्सामि. सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो संघं नमामि. ओकास वन्दामि भन्ते द्वारकेय मया कृतं स्वापम् अच्चयो खमथ मे वन्दे. द्वितीयंपि ओकास वन्दामि भन्ते द्वारकेय मया कृतं स्वापम् अच्चयो खमथ मे वन्दे. तृतीयंपि ओकास वन्दामि भन्ते द्वारकेय मया कृतं स्वापम् अच्चयो खमथ मे वन्दे. ओकासहं वन्दे त्रिसरणीय सा पंचशीला धाम. यच्चमे अनुग्रहं कृत्वा शीलं देहं मे वन्दे. द्वितीयंपि ओकासहं वन्दे त्रिसरणीय सा पंचशीला धाम. यच्चमे अनुग्रहं कृत्वा शीलं देहं मे वन्दे. तृतीयंपि ओकासहं वन्दे त्रिसर्वीव सपञ्चशीलं यच्चमी अन्तःकत्वाशीलं देहं मे वन्दे। आता श्रद्धा। नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स। नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स। नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स। बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि संघं शरणं गच्छामि द्वितीयंपि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि द्वितीयंपि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि तृतीयंपि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि तृतीयंपि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि तृतीयंपि संघं शरणं गच्छामि। पंचशील अनादिपाता वेरमणि सिक्खापदं समादयामि अदीनदाना वेरमणि सिक्खापदं समादयामि सुमिच्छाचारा वेरमणि सिक्खापदं समादयामि मुसावादा वेरमणि सिक्खापदं समादयामि सुरामेरयमच प्रमादठाना वेरमणि सिक्खापदं समादयामि। सर्वपापस्य करणं कुशलस्य उपसम्पदा सच्चित्तपर्योन्दपणम् एतं बुद्धानुशासनम् धम्मचरे सुचरितनन्त सुचरितचरे धम्मचारी सुखसेति अस्मि लोके परमिच्च न तावता धम्मधरो यावता बहुभासति यो चापने सुत्वानं धम्मं कायेन पश्यति सत्ते धम्मधरोति यो धम्मनत्वमर्चति नत्ति मे शरणं अयं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन भूतु मे जयमङ्गलम् नत्ति मे शरणं अयं धम्मो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन भूतु मे जयमङ्गलम् नत्ति मे शरणं अयं संघो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन भूतु मे जयमङ्गलम् सर्वे सत्ता सुखी भवन्तु सर्वे भूतु सुखिनो सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कञ्चित् दुःखमागमम् नमो बुद्धाय नमो धम्माय नमो संघाय
Thank you so much, Mrs. Nanda. Our request, please come over and give us the translation of the text.
हो जकडेला घेतलं नाही गेलो ना
Please join me. Hold your hands inside. In English. Homage to the triple gems. Homage to him, the blessed one, the exalted one, the fully enlightened one, the Samma Sambuddha. 3 seconds. Refugees. The Buddha, the greatest teacher. I go to his teaching. The community of monks, nuns, and lay people following Buddha's teaching as my refuge. For the second time, I go to the Buddha as my refuge. For the second time, I go to the Dhamma as my refuge. For the second time, I go to the Sangha as my refuge. For the third time, I go to the Buddha as my refuge. For the third time, I go to the Dhamma, the teaching, as my refuge. For the third time, I go to the Sangha, the community, as my refuge. Panchashila, the 5 precepts. First, I undertake to observe the precept to abstain from destroying living beings. 2. I undertake to observe the precept to abstain from taking things not given. I undertake to observe the precept to abstain from sensual misconduct. I undertake to observe the precept to abstain from false speech. I undertake to observe the precept to abstain from liquor, causing intoxication and iridescence. I undertake to observe the 5 precepts to the best of my ability. Sabbapapasa. Do good things, do not do bad. Discard all that is immoral, what should not be done. Taking what is moral by sorting out sound. Sound here means hatred and ignorance. Do this by controlling one's own thoughts and purifying one's mind. That is the doctrine of the Buddha.
Hello.
Unmute हो जाओ.
Thank you so much, Vinayak Komarade and Mrs. Natapati. Before we start the program, very good start for us. I would like to put some comments here. Just to observe. No food or drinks allowed in this council chamber. So if you want to go, please go outside. There are 2
I have one
you find the restroom on your right. The second restroom is the one floor above. We request all the ladies to use the restroom in this floor and all the gentlemen to use the restroom above us. So with this, I request Nitin Surindare to please start with the introduction. Thank you so much.
Jai and a very warm welcome to all of you. On behalf of Dr. Ambedkar International Mission, USA, I take this opportunity to welcome all of you. It is a very proud moment for all of us that the Mayor of New Jersey City, Mr. Stephen Fulop, has signed the proclamation of Equality Day to commemorate Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar's birth anniversary, which is 14th of April. So this is what we have been waiting for. The proclamation is right here, signed proclamation in front of us. So please join me to have a Thank you very much for being a part with us on this very auspicious day. I don't have words to express how extremely proud I am at this point of time. And this is a very proud moment for all of us as veterans and the people who believe in humanity and equality worldwide. This is a very encouraging step from the Mayor's office, and we are very much thankful to the Immigration Affairs Commission of Jersey City, New Jersey, and the City Council members for initiating this process with the Mayor's office. We are thankful towards Swati Sawant, who has been working closely with AIC members, IAC team, for her efforts to make this successful. So let's hear a big round of applause for IAC team and the Immigration Affairs Commission team on the City Hall. Thank you very much. The team will be joining us later today, maybe somewhere around 1 o'clock. So please stay with us. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome our keynote speaker, Professor Jay Brandon. We have various guest of honors, Dr. Timothy Lotus, Yashika Dutt, Professor Jayashree Kamble, Biju Matthew, and Dr. Vishnu Maya Parmar, who have joined with us. And we also have a representation from the Indian General, Mr. Vipul Dev, who have joined to be a part of this historical movement with us. So please, once again, welcome all the guests and help me to welcome them with a round of applause, please.
Hi, please allow me to welcome our friends and partners from
आपने कुछ नहीं कहा
Adev Sharaji, Ravi Mahal, Swapnili Khedekar, and Rajesh Gupta. Please excuse us if we have missed any names, but welcome all of you and thank you
हाँ तो गौतम का है ना हाँ
for your presence.
Thank you, everyone. Definitely have partnered with multiple other organizations, and it is the joint effort with all these organizations and the friends across USA and other parts of India who has made this event very successful. And of course, we have a very good lineup of the speeches later towards the later in the part of the day. We also have very good presentations given by our young members, the young kids from our group. We also have the very inspirational songs coming from from our community. So this event is really fast. Unfortunately, we have to we have a little time pressure, but because of this historical and amazing, before we start, let us Thank you, everyone.
नक्की बनवून घातले माहिती मला मला प्लीज वेअर कोणी ऑफआउट झाला मी तर कसं चांगलं झोपलो होतो तर लगेच आरडा ओरडा मग रात्री जो घोरा आणि हे करा
स्विच ऑफ करा होत नाही.
काय करू
हा. कार्यक्रम है.
Amazing song. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the ladies group. On a side note, this event is being live streamed and being also recorded. So, if anyone wants to join, please share the link with your friends and families. Let me take this opportunity to welcome our keynote speaker, Professor Jenny Brandon. Everybody knows him, but it is my responsibility to introduce him to this forum. Jenny Brandon is adjunct professor at the School of Public and International Affairs, Columbia University, where he teaches in the area of sustainable natural resource development, small state development, and corporate responsibility. He focuses on risk and strategy management, sovereignty, and human rights, including minority rights. He is a graduate of Columbia College, also the alma mater of Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, Barclay Graduate School, and Stanford Law School. Professor Brandon has also
जयंतीचा कार्यक्रम हे आपलं आंबेडकर जयंतीचा कार्यक्रम झाला
and universities around the world, including the Indira Gandhi Institute for Development Research in Mumbai, India, Tartu University Law College in Estonia, Monterrey Tech, Querétaro in Mexico, and Externado University in Bogotá, Colombia. Of particular note, Professor Ranjan participated in the constitutional peace process of Nepal and served as a key drafter of the 2006 interim peace constitution, which, among other things, granted citizenship to millions of stateless people of Indian heritage in the Tarai region and ensured that the parliament had not less than 30% representation of women. He wrote several articles to educate the public about the constitutional process and citizens' rights. The Constitutional Assembly, a place for all voices, and the Constitution, a living instrument. In the early 1980s, Professor Randall founded Brandon Law Offices law firm, which, among all things, advises emerging and developing nations. He also serves on the board and committees of Indian focused biotech and high-tech venture capital funds. In 1980, Brandon co-founded the Afghanistan Relief Committee that sought freedom for Afghan and supported refugees displaced during the Afghan-Soviet War. Serving as advisor during Estonia's independence struggle, Brandon proudly was the first of officially raised the US flag in Soviet-occupied Estonia since the 1940s. Estonia awarded him the Order for Corps Terra Marina and the Cross Service of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Brandon served as Georgia key foreign advisor and negotiator on multi-nation oil gas pipeline for Azerbaijan to Georgia to Turkey, and was awarded the country's highest civilian award, the Order of Honor by President Edward Schwarzenegger. Sorry for the pronunciation. Brandon presently advise public authorities and civil society in a number of developing and emerging nations. Brandon has authored numerous articles and reports on human rights, and also issues, and his anthology was published in conjunction with the 2018 APEC conference in Papua New Guinea. He has lectured and worked in over 70, visited over 100 countries, and is a long-standing friend of India. He first visited India on his honeymoon in 1971, and since 1995 regularly several times a year. So it is a great honor for us to have such a great personality along with us as a keynote speaker. I would request everyone to be silent during the Nation Honors talks. If any questions, please feel free to reach out to the EIMS members, and we will direct the questions accordingly. We will have enough time for the meet and greet post during the last session. So please give me a big round of applause and welcome Professor Jetman.
Thank you. It is an honor to speak at this occasion, and it is really great here at the following meeting has been accepted in Jersey City. I've also heard that it's now been accepted in Canada and the States of the United States. We should not stop here. The challenge that you have presented with me is the fact that I'm deaf. Much has been written about it, much has been talked about. So what can I say that will be new, interesting, and maybe heartfelt? What I'd like to do is bring a different perspective, and you can judge whether I succeed or not. First, he's not just an Indian hero. He's also an American hero. He's also a Columbia University hero. And if you take it naturally, he should be an international hero. But a hero is not just born. A hero is made. The question is, how do you get there? One of the things which we lack, at least I do, I cannot speak to him directly. He is no longer here. But I think he had a mission and he had a vision. But just because you have a mission and a vision doesn't mean you don't get it. He had character. He had perseverance. What do I mean? First, let me quote my father, say, what does my father have to do with the time? My father told me when I was moaning and groaning and didn't want to get up. He had a bad day. Yes. He get up. He said, I don't want to get up. He said, everyone can get up after a great day. You get up after a bad day. You must get up. Well, Ambedkar had many bad days. Let me just give a few. And he got up and continued. When he was in school, he wasn't allowed to be in school. He was allowed to be outside of school. He was not allowed in the middle of the education. Water, which is human, right? We all have a right to water. Without water, we do not live. He could not take the water himself. He had to have a peon pour it from a distance. No peon, no water. What made him get up every day and go to school and go forward? Nevertheless, putting up with insults like that. He had clearly a vision. His own vision was his own education. Clearly, he knew that he was being discriminated against, but he persevered. How many people will really get up and persevere? Day in and day out. So that, I think, is the hallmark of his character. Perseverance, dedication to his vision. He took his vision and said, it is not just for me, it is for all. Because as he moved on in life, he got his education, but he never seemed to forget where he came from. He was lucky. Sadly, he was also lonely, because frequently in all the schools, he was the only one of his background. Galloway, the only one. How lonely is that? But yet he persevered. How many of us persevere when it gets hard? It's day to day. It's not the glory of within one day. It is the work of many days. He got a scholarship to Columbia University, my alma mater. Ironically, he did. He persevered and they gave it to him. Now is the beginning of his universality. He was from India as a young man, but he came to Columbia at the age of 22. We all like to believe we invented everything ourselves, but no, we are a product of our heritage and we are a product of our learning and our experience. And at Columbia, he lived in Livingston Hall. Livingston was one of the founding fathers of the United States. He wrote on the Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal. Let's expand that. All men and women are created equal. He also walked the halls and the streets and the campus of Columbia University. Alexander Hamilton, a sign of our Constitution. He couldn't avoid seeing Hamilton's statue also. He saw John Jay, another founding father. He must have heard of Governor Morris, who also signed the Constitution. He was influenced by what he saw and heard. By Professor John Dewey, one of the most noted Americans that we all should know, because he promoted that which we all have a right to. Education, education, education. Because education builds democracies. A non-educated population cannot lead. We have to understand. So he took these ideas and made them his own. He advanced them. He also was the first to get a PhD in economics from India outside of India. Consequently, fast forward, he brought light to many, because he is known for a fact as the father of the Indian Constitution. But that is not sufficient just to be known as the father of the Constitution. What's important is the Constitution a living instrument? Does it inspire and give right? rights. And it does. The obvious one, and many of you know, he gave rights to downloads. Take affirmative action before the known concept of what it was. But he also did something else to make it a living instrument. What was that? He took ideas that he heard from the US Constitution and probably elsewhere of checks and balances. Checks and balances, what does that mean? It means we have an executive, it means we have a legislature, and it means we have a judiciary as well as civil society. And in the honor of India, your Supreme Court is now recognized as one of the most progressive in the entire world and is cited accordingly. It actually should be cited more in the United States, because it's not. So he has left an institution. His saying was educate, agitate, and organize. A constitution can organize. Checks and balances is organization. He did that. That's a living legacy that we need to live with, nurture, and maintain. Yes, he said no discrimination for India. Shouldn't that be a concept worldwide? What is this concept of no discrimination? Didn't I say the U.S. in the Declaration of Independence said all men are created equal? As I said, all men and women are created equal. Now, what else, and what's even more important in some respects than rights, although we need the rights? What is more important is that these rights give you dignity, give you respect. When you get respect, you also are motivated to get an education. When you get an education, you get more respect and more dignity. So to me, education is that right of all, which brings us all to our commonality. We're human beings. We have a right to education. We need education. It gives us opportunity. An opportunity has brought many of you to the United States, whether to teach, to study, or to work. A right that we have all. So he has been framed in the Constitution that which was necessary. He's organized these rights. Now, I want to go back to a little bit to Colombia, because he's done, like I said, he's inspired. But he was not alone. I've already mentioned to you 4 leaders of Colombia, founding fathers, but we had others. And as you go forth with Equality Day, which I would think should be worldwide, and not just in New Jersey, Jersey City, or in Canada, it should be worldwide. Let me mention some of the other heroes of Colombia besides the American heroes, because we've become a global society. I'm going to look into your faces and see if you recognize this name. Pixley Seme. Some are smiling, but I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to be a teacher. All I do is write. Pixley Seme was a South African student in 1905 at Columbia. What did he do? He founded the African National Congress, which was later the force that made the Africans in South Africa free. It is not just him, so he walks in those terms. He follows in their footsteps. But we also have a woman. Ah, yes, women also lead. But too often they are forgotten, sadly, or they're not known. But there is a woman of Chinese extraction, Mabel Pingree Lee. She was a suffrage. Why is she not known? That is the first question. And she was a suffrage leader, although she was Chinese, and knew that she would not have to vote because of discrimination. But yet she also persevered. So we see the one concept that has to prevail throughout. As my father said, you had a bad day, get up. get up every day and go forward. So equality needs to go forward. Now, there is one thing that all of you can take with you, and it is in this proclamation, and I will read it because it's something that is dear to my heart. He gave a very simple test on how to judge the society. I measure the progress of a community by the degree of progress which women have achieved. What a simple test. Now let me cite from an international perspective some of the leading countries of the world that we sometimes overlook because we dismiss them. Scandinavia and New Zealand, beautiful countries. But in Scandinavia, the Prime Minister of Iceland, of Denmark, of Sweden, well, I expand to Nordic, Finland and Estonia are women. The Prime Minister of New Zealand is a woman. There's progress there, and they have the highest quality of life in the world. So his standard, his measurement is clear and easy. Countries that value their women. And who are women? They are our mothers, they are our grandmothers, they are our wives, they are our children. So it's time that the world, every country, and I will not now name those who do not respect. They're obvious. So he gave us a simple standard. Do we really have democracy? Do we really have progress? Judge how you keep your women. And I take personal great pride that the Constitution that I worked on in Nepal in 2006 guaranteed at least 30% women representation. It should be more. In fact, we shouldn't even need it in the Constitution. They should have it. So I'd like to go with one more thing. Equality is the right word. Ambedkar is not just an Indian. He's not just an American educated hero. He should be for the world. So let's take it one step further and bring his ideas, which are now universal ideas, which came from him because he persevered and got to the United States. He talked to John Dewey, who was his professor. He walked in the halls of many illustrious forefathers from the United States. And he probably knew about Semi and he knew about human rights. So let you as Indians help lead the world to a better tomorrow. And let's make this equality a right for all. Thank you.
Professor.
Thank you, Professor Dratton, for this insightful talk. Indeed, Dr. Ambedkar is a global hero, and thank you for taking us to his journey in Columbia. The other members of Columbia, sadly, we know very little of them, but they have been the change agents. So thank you so much for that. Please accept our token of appreciation for this talk. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the greatest personality amongst us, Timothy Robbins. Quickly introduce him. Timothy Robbins recently defended his doctoral dissertation on the topic of the three choices of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Buddhism for the margins at the National University of Pennsylvania, where he teaches in the Department of Religion. After completing his Masters of Divinity from the Tibetan Buddhism from the Local University in 2008, he took a BA Buddhist Upasaka vows and worked as Buddhist chaplain in the University of Pennsylvania system. His interest in English Buddhism and Buddhist modernism led to India on a Fulbright grant in 2019 to study Dr. Ambedkar's research has been conducted in Togo in order to share Dr. Ambedkar's wisdom with the wider audience in the Buddhist sectors. Also, he has volunteered as the director of Nalanda Bodhi in Pennsylvania for 6 years. He is also a mindfulness instructor. He has many publications to his credits. If I'm not wrong, they are freely available on the net because I downloaded yesterday and I will go through that. Equally impressive is his knowledge of Hindi and Sanskrit and Urdu. So I request Dr. Timothy Hawkins to please address the panel.
Thank you. I find myself in the enviable position that Professor Ryan's keynote. I'm not sure I have too much to add, but it's brief. I think to get out of the way for Ishita and Jayashree, we're eager to hear. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor to be here. I'm so happy that this was accomplished and that this moment seems to be happening here in Colorado and Canada. It's so overdue. I echo Professor Radin's comment that Dr. Ambedkar should be a world leader. And it's really inspiring. I'm really happy to see that this profile is growing as it should be. So, सबसे पहले जगाने की शायद सोच रहे हैं क्यों ये गोरा आदमी यहाँ है अच्छा सवाल है so it's a good question so I think अच्छा सवाल so maybe I'll tell you a little bit about why we did answer that question. As maybe you've heard, I did Vipassana vows and master's in divinity in 2008 as a chaplain, Buddhist chaplain at the University of Pennsylvania, and in the hospice and trauma setting in the ER. And that presented an opportunity for me to go to India and do palliative care work in Delhi. There's an organization called Hand Support. And, at that point, I had this kind of sense that understood that I hadn't done masters and this convert a decade at that point. I had the tradition fairly well. You can maybe imagine my surprise in that experience encountering Ambedkarite Buddhists in India and not having any sense of what that was prior to my arrival. And the kind of gravity of that absence, that kind of conspicuous absence in the popular imagination of Buddhism in the West, as well as academic treatments, really kind of hit home. And the way in which I think Buddhism in the West imagines, I think through maybe a process of Orientalism and the way medical gatekeeping has constructed Indian religion, the way Buddhists in the West often Mahatma Gandhi as king and had very little awareness of Dr. Ambedkar's work and influence. So I was shocked, embarrassed, you could say, and it inspired this sort of, I guess, stubborn sort of persistence to try to bring some of that vision into the English language and North American Studies Academy. So obviously the list of Dr. Ambedkar's accomplishments is more than extensive, right? Professor Radner, I think he was a really great kind of overview, right? We are familiar with that narrative. But the thing that really kind of captures my imagination is those last 5 years of his life, where he, from 1950 to 1956, I think he really dove wholeheartedly into the Buddhist tradition and articulated a vision of Buddhism that is really unique. And I think it's unique because of his position at the margins, and it's his strength. I think that position at the margins has articulates a form of Buddhism that has so much to offer Buddhists here in the West, and globally. You know, his decision to keep his movement moored to a religious tradition. Religion is he kind of conceptualized it. As Dhamma, right? It's distinct from religion itself. For many people,
त्यामुळे ज्या इमोशननी तुम्ही हे जे गाणं
he conceptualized new religious traditions, kind of doing and inspired.
सार्थक शब्द अजून पोचायला हवे तितकंच मिळेल बाकी
Can offer Buddhists in the West, in particular, Buddhist Academy in the West, to think about ethics, Buddhist ethics. What does it look like for a Buddhist tradition to speak truth to power? You know, where Buddhism has been kind of received in this largely contemplative, meditation-oriented, individual sort of self-help psychology kind of frame in the West, all of which is legitimate. Receivers of the tradition in the West have pulled those features out of the source texts. They're there. Dr. Ambedkar, because of his position of margin, looks at those same source texts and pulls out the ethical, right? Those aspects of the tradition that can lead to action and build a just society. So when we have Buddhism being used here at, like for example, Google to mindfulness movement to extract more productivity out of the workers, we have these larger questions like, what does this kind of theological frame of this tradition have to say about social change, about justice, about egalitarianism? And I think part of Dr. Ambedkar's genius, that religious conversion in October of 1956 is one of the largest mass conversion moments in modern human history. And it's often sort of just a footnote in these large, incredibly impressive, broad life, right? But that, I think we should keep that in mind, right? Bring that maybe more into the center. Think about how he makes human relationship and the construction of a just society a sacred act. He's asking us to push religion past the religion rituals, past the God-centered model, and into one that sacralizes the creation of a just society. He calls that Buddhism and Dhamma, and that's his unique view. I think we have a lot to learn from it. Articulating that. Maybe I'll just end with his words on this about the Buddha. This is from the Buddha and the Future of His Religion, which he wrote in 1950 for the Mahapali Society Journal. It's a fantastic article. His voice is really strong, and that I love reading him. Right, he doesn't mince words. Right, such a joy to read. I think this reflects that. He says, "What I wish to emphasize is that the Buddha taught many other things besides himself. He taught us part of his religion. He taught us as part of his religion, social freedom, intellectual freedom, economic freedom, political freedom. He taught equality not between man and man only, but between man and woman. It would be difficult to find a religious teacher compared with Buddha, whose teachings embrace so many aspects of the social life of people. His doctrines are so modern, and with main concern to give salvation to man in his life on earth, not to promise him heaven after he is dead." If this is his idea of what religion should be. It's here and it's in relationship. So anyway, thank you so much for having me.
Professor Lotus for that insightful talk. Truly, Baba Sahib introduced Buddhism to the marginalized society. We propel them to progress and basically adopting to the values of Buddhism and scientific method. I guess it is the key cause for progress of marginalized society. Also, again, question is, please accept our appreciation for your presence and your Ambedkar International Mission and the Indian Consulate of India in New York has always shared a very cordial and warm relation. We have always collaborated with them to organize various functions. And today we have with us a representation from the consulate, Mr. Vipul Dev. Mr. Vipul Dev is a career diplomat from the Indian Foreign Services. Currently he is serving at the Consulate General of India, New York. Previously, he has served in Buenos Aires and Islamabad, India. Welcome, sir. I would request you to honor and just that.
Thank you so much. First of all, let me congratulate everyone on the 131st birthday of Baba Saheb. And I also congratulate the Indian community here in New Jersey and say thank you to the city of New Jersey for declaring 14th of April as Equality Day. It is very important for the people of this country and also the Indian community who are living here to keep in mind our heroes, our common heroes. And Ambedkar is one such common hero. As both the professors who spoke before me, they elaborate so vividly that Ambedkar is one of those personalities connect India and United States. More than 100 years ago, he came to this country and studied at the Columbia University, as we know. And during those days, students from India used to talk. Hardly anyone of them used to think about United States. So, and that's also he was very good. All the people who came to this country in the succeeding decades, they owed him because he was one of those early ones. You can say, as the professor said, and he showed it by example. I would also like to remind everyone that this year we are celebrating 75 years of India independence. It's a very special year for us, and Ambedkar's birth anniversary in this particular year is even more important because our journey as an independent nation owes a lot to his contribution. Especially, but not limited to our constitution. And once again, I thank Ambedkar International Mission, Mr. Millen and his team, and the entire Indian American population here in this city for giving me this opportunity. And it is an honor to be present the consulate of India. With these words, so much.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, sir, for encouraging us. And Consulate General of India, New York, has always been supporting us all over there. Earlier this year we had a screening of movie Jayati, good event in terms of, and also throwing light on how such events can help bringing the community together. And there was also a presentation from Consulate General India New York office, and we really like that your presence here. Now I would like to introduce. Oh, sorry, and I would like Mr. Millen with this is a token of gratitude for raising this event. Next, I would like to introduce our guest speaker now. Professor Jayashree Khan. So she's from a Mumbai Ambedkar family. She's currently professor of English at LaGuardia Community College in City University of New York. She did her MA in English from University of Pune, and then did her PhD from English Literature from University of Minnesota. She specializes in mass market fiction and history. She is recipient of various accolades, awards, and fellowships, and has a very wide work of published work, essays, articles, and books to her name. Her first book was titled Making Meaning in Popular Romance Fiction and Epistemology. It was published by Palgrave in 2014, and her second book, which is about the growth of popular romance novels, it will be published by Indiana University Press sometime this year. So I would like to invite her. Thank you for joining us today.
Maybe. You can tell from my white smile how happy I am to see it. Group hug. I'm so pleased. My thanks to the preceding speakers for their lovely comments. I would love to read some of your work, especially because that is in fact how I was raised as well. Think of Babasaheb's Buddhism as a secular. We focus on ethics, the practice that we emphasize. Thank you so much. I would say that no one knows better than a professor that obviously is very boring. His eyes glazing over after a few minutes, and I don't know about you, but even my own attention span has dropped precipitously in the pandemic. So what I'm going to do today is do a little mix of things, but again, like him, I'm not going to call on anybody that's going to be no Socratic method, but it is going to be to some extent asking you to think things through in the way that I'm sort of doing a call for. But let me please start by saying that I acknowledge and honor that I'm on the ancestral lands of the still living, still sovereign Winsi Lenape peoples, communities, and nation. I recognize as well the many and diverse Native American indigenous peoples who call this region home, past, present, and future. This acknowledgement is part of my commitment to the process of dismantling the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism here and across the globe. My talk today and my work overall is steeped in this commitment. So keeping that in mind, very fortuitously yesterday, as I was prepping for my little talk here, I came across a speech by a Native American activist, John Trudell, called What It Means to Be Human. And it's part of his sort of a talk that he did towards the end of his life. And so I beg your indulgence, I'm going to read a few extracts from it because it seems very relevant to our moment and to the celebration that we're doing today. Trudell says, the first act of being free and liberation is the act of taking our intelligence back, taking our imagination back, our ability to think. That's the first act of liberation, of conscious liberation. The first steps towards respect for the Creator is understanding that we have that intelligence. It's our intelligence. And for our next generation, we have a responsibility to direct as much intelligence into that as we can. Because it's an extract, I'll tell you, he's saying, in speaking back towards the powerful. Right? Claim our intelligence and we use it and we teach the next generation. He says, because this thing about life and death, this technological reality has been around for 3,000-4,000 years, but its whole reality is based upon death. So therefore, at some point, it must die. And our whole objective as human beings is to stay alive. I mean, really alive, not surviving and existing, we're talking about alive. Connected to life and living. See, we have to outlast it because we can't outfight it, because its violence and its aggressive mindset is beyond parallel. But that doesn't mean that it's powerful. That just means that it's violent and it's aggressive and it's without parallel, and you better be damn careful of it. But that's what that means about power, our relationship. And the use of our intelligence is our relationship to power. And we can outthink it. It's simple math, he says. In the authoritarian state system, only X amount of people are given permission to think. But at some point, theoretically, we will out-surround them if we will just do what is necessary to get there. Your descendants and my descendants depend upon us to keep the reality of the living alive. We're going to influence the outcome no matter what. So he says, let's take some responsibility and let's influence it in a more clear and coherent way. Outthink them, trust ourselves and our ability to think. And he says, and each and every one of us was given just as much intelligence as we need. So we need to recognize that in ourselves, right? So as I read this little piece, it sort of flowed into what I was thinking of saying today for us. And I owe thanks here to the Boston Study Group because they allowed me to do a little bit of work for their most recent issue of their magazine. This is what sort of inspired this whole thing today. So what I'm going to do is ask you to do a call today, keeping Pradell's work in mind as well, which is I ask all of us to bring our ancestors back to life. Bring our ancestors back to life. And what I mean by that is imagine their stories. Right? Let them, to use the language of media, have a rerun. Okay? Use whatever art form you feel the most comfortable with. For me, that's writing. Some of you are singers, clearly beautiful singers. Some of you probably poets. Some of you are painters. Some of you have, I don't know, cooking as a skill. Whatever your perfect art form might be, use that to imagine and reimagine the lives of our ancestors in a way that will bring us joy and will allow us to claim our stories. Because, you know, history has not always filled with joyful things for communities like ours. And what I want you to do, and again, to use a term from media studies, which is part of my field, is what we call fan fiction. Does anybody know this term, fan fiction? I see some young people nodding, so hopefully some folks know. But in fan fiction, you know, you watch a movie or you watch a TV show or you read a book, and there's a part of you that thinks, you know, if I had written that, those two characters would fall in love. If I had written that, this is how the story would end. So I want you to think about the stories of our ancestors and even of our living folks in almost like a fan fiction fashion, right? Imagine different endings. Imagine power. Imagine ethical lives. Imagine equality. Right? Rethink this through whatever art form is your natural art form, the one that makes you feel the best, right? So change the beginnings, the middles, the endings of the stories of our ancestors. Rewrite them, bring them to life, because the truth is a flexible thing for people like us. Why should we let somebody else tell us what their truth was? Why can't we imagine a different, happier, more powerful life for all of them? So harness what it is that you have in order to create an entire new body of work that gives our people a rerun, that gives them a new life story. Okay? So that's my little call to all of you. So I want you to sort of think in the back of your head about how you would do that. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an example, if you'll indulge me. So this is the piece that the Boston Study Group published in their latest issue, The Awakening. And I'm going to read this out, and it is a story. So again, hopefully it won't be boring. It's not very, it's a little long, but it's not very long. But just quickly, how many people here understand Marathi? Okay, all right. For those of you who don't, there's not a lot of Marathi, but there is some, and I'd be happy to translate later if the context doesn't clarify. But the move is very deliberate. The reason I left those words in there, and I'll sort of maybe mention it at the end. So this little piece, it's kind of creative nonfiction. That's the genre it falls under, and I titled it Origins. Great-grandfather wanted an education, so he ran away from his Konkan Coast village. He was a Mahara boy, but this was around World War I. It was the British Raj, and a determined lad had options. His family thought he had died, and great-great-grandma wept about her lost son. But somehow he got himself into a boarding school. And when he came back, he was an 8th standard graduate. Those of you who have grandparents in this area know what that means, 8th standard. He had with him a sari for his mother he had purchased with his Aadhaar earnings. An 8th grade education meant that some doors opened, even as caste oppression was rampant in freedom-seeking anti-colonial India. A great-grandfather would become a circle inspector in the British Land Revenue Service. Mother recalled that he wore a white ankle-length dhoti and long-sleeved tunic shirt with a black coat, black topi. This was long before Babasaheb wrote exhorting people to don the clothes we were forbidden from wearing, even if we could afford them, which was rare. The dress code for us was loincloths and turbans for men. Ubarrata, I don't know how many of you know the name. Ubarrata for the women, knee-length saris that are tucked between the legs, the prescribed mode for the laboring class. Consider then what it meant for great-grandfather to dress the way he did 100 years ago, which even today, our people are lynched for wearing new clothes, for sporting a mustache, for acting uppity. Mother says he used to travel across Thane district in the performance of his duties, leaving and coming home in a chauffeur tanga. The house he built for his family, and later the annex for his daughter's family, had a tiled roof and a private outhouse and a bathing shed. When electricity came to the district, it was the first house to be lit in the Mahabharata with electricity. A beacon of hope in an ocean of darkness, alleviated only by hurricane lanterns and kerosene bottle lights with cloth wicks. Anybody live like that? With kerosene bottle lights? Remember? Yeah. Great-grandma was a beauty, they said. Goody as a tugger flower. I can attest to that, though I only, of course, remember her after she became a septuagenarian, and her hair had become that yellow that some women says. She was a jealous woman, Mother used to say, swearing at someone who she suspected of having an eye on her successful husband. Women in my family are, with few exceptions, disinclined to be quiet. Apparently, there was regular yelling about potential rivals and accusations of attempts to steal her husband using witchcraft. Great-grandfather was allegedly blameless in all this, my mother reported. Even when he got sick with cancer, he never complained. Every night after dinner, he'd have a small whiskey and go to bed. They tried all sorts of remedies to cure him. Mother remembers leeches, which have their uses, but battling cancer was apparently beyond the wisdom. I don't know what year he died, and I have no photos of him, only his family stories that tell me he was a man who aimed high and lived honorably. His extended family used to visit when Mother was young, from the village of Murbar. Great-grandma didn't like them. Country birds, she'd grumble, come for a handout from my husband, taking what was rightfully my children's. Ironically, the wealth he built rested on the couple's spinster sisters' labor. Their names were Katsa and Bala. And those of you who speak Marathi know what those words mean. Our people often name their children after trash, nature, afraid that anything better would get them killed. I have a grandfather named Dandu. The spinsters did all the housework in their siblings' homes, cleaning, cooking, laundry. Great-grandma was the lady of the house, chaplain. Mother thinks the family would not have suffered a decline in their fortunes if they had treated those two women better. It is recorded. So much of what my mother learned was from those two women, food that no one even knows of anymore, let alone have tasted. Awful dishes, I'm going to name some. Wajdi. I don't know how many people have eaten wajdi, right? Awful dishes. Desserts, hearty breads, bhakri. Almond cooked over clay ovens fired by wood. Dried fish roasted with salt over the griddle. Red chilies and aromatics pounded in the hip-high mortar. Again, I don't know how many of you see that. It's wooden ones that are that big, big balls. Delicacies made with what you would now call puff pastry. Wonton wrappers, we made it by hand. On certain days of the year, medicines, poultices, all made by women hunched over on the ground from dawn to midnight. Hands and lungs blackened by soot, sitting stark from rolling dough. When Mother married, they were still alive. Father would joke and tease them, she recalls, and they would sit on their haunches and hide their smiles behind the mothers, marveling that a man who worked for a bank, who spoke English, who was related to Baba Saheb himself, would talk to them. Them whom no one noticed, except as family retainers earning a crust on Sundays. Is it possible to miss people you have never met? I feel them in my bones. I can almost see those lives that became history before I came to be. Trash and wind, that's what they mean to me. Trash and wind sustain generations. The family went through hard times after they died. Great uncle started a business, but without the right networks, lost everything. Great grandma and great auntie and the children took in piecework, rolling beaties for bicycles, stretching every grain of rice. By the time I met her, great grandma was like a bird. Sharp eyes, sharp mouth, but wizened down to bones, paper white skin. She had seen a century unfold, had raised 2 elementary school teacher daughters, lost a husband and who knows how many children, witnessed grandkids going to work in factories, government service, driving trucks, and finding the bottoms of bottles. Dynasties are not just about property or money or generational wealth. Some are just about the force of the will. Our prodigal sons have always refused to succumb to their karma, to stay home and in the caste narrative. Daughters, well, they've also always had their own wills, though not often their own way. Great grandma would live to see one great grand cross the ocean and bear the family story forward. We were there and we are here. We are not afraid. To try to do their version of this, find your great grandparents in your mind, give them life in whatever form you can.
Yes, you can hold on.
Thank you. Now I would like willing to invite Professor Kamran for receiving with her presence. Announcements to make here. One, for kids, food, pizzas, and beverages will set up on the floor above. So if they are hungry, parents will take them. Second, for anyone entering and exiting this hall, please use that door actually rather than this one. And next, I would like to invite Nitin to take this program further. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dinesh. We have, as I mentioned in the beginning of the call, we have worked with SafeHand as well as multiple programs with our partners from New York City, New York, New Jersey, Philly, and worldwide. One of our partners, Mr. Abdul Sahai, is here. He is working closely with Begumpura Cultural Society as well as Guru Sri Guru Raksha Committee in New York, and he's here with us. So may I invite Mr. Abdul Sahai to briefly talk a few words on this. Okay. Thank you.
जय भीम। सभी ने ब्रेकफास्ट कर लिया और से आए भी आगे जोर से बोल लो जय भीम। I'm Desai and internship coordinator of Begumpura Cultural Society in New York, and still working with the Shri Guru Raj Sabha.
तिकडे दिवस तिकडे रात्र.
So I feel so proud of today, especially in and especially our brother Raju Kamble. So this goes to him. The reason is we see this day, he put a seed in American soil and in Canada. And both are we are getting the results now. I'm missing all this. So you need to know some always. The reason we are because he was. And from Vancouver, when Raju Kamble, he was in Canada, he bring the operation of started operation of the day. And all the Punjabi community together. And some other peoples, like the Canadian politician joined him. And Equality Day is also declared in Canada too. But first I want to thanks to Mayor of New Jersey City. This is the first step in America they have taken. Thank you a lot. And Colombia, we cannot forget because from there Baba bring everything in our life. He came over here. Sometimes we think he had a lot of hardships at that time, lot of problems at that time, because now we Google it, everything. Sometimes I think, how Baba find out all these things at that time? There was only letters only, right? Sometimes we did telegrams too. So, if we have if I speak in Punjabi, if we have हमें दो जन्म मिल जाए, हम बाबा साहब के और दो जवान मिल जाए हमें, दो जवान, हम भी फिर भी प्रेस नहीं कर सकते, we cannot praise. The reason he worked so hard, and Amgal Namcharattu, when I used to, he was my director, my wife's uncle, and I used to listen from him so many things about the Baba Sahib, so many things. And I was so shocked what was happening at that time in the Indian politics, what was the behavior over there, the Indian politician to him. So I have listened everything. But finally, Baba Sahib is already not a Bharat Ratan, he is a Bharat Ratan, Sari Dunya ke Ratan hai wo. I'm also thankful to Councilman Mr. Dhariwal in Vancouver, BC, and Mr. Raj Chauhan, he is MLA, member of the Legislative Assembly in Vancouver. So they tried, and the last year they declared Equality Day. And please give the big hand of applause to all the Ambedkarite organizations like Chitra, ESRO, Buddha Society, Shri Guru Dal Sabha of Vancouver. They tried their best. So this was the first declaration in the world that was made in Vancouver. So we are proud of them. And I'm really proud of all the A members. Vinyaji, she is very intelligent, all are intelligent, okay? So I'm really proud of you. When Raju Kamble passed in 2018, I was over there, and you are over there, right? And that was a big gap in our society because of missionary like Brother Raju Kamble. I didn't see anyone in the world gym. Maybe somewhere road like him. What he did to the society, he did for the mission. He was extraordinary. Extraordinary. And let's talk me like that will be like a little certain for you, but I have to give the truth on the stage. When I spoke in the United Nations, you remember, Benji, in 2017, I raised a question of caste system in India. Okay, and I was in the head list. So we the people in India, equality, day of equality, we listen very good. In America, they declare, they do it from the heart. In India, they don't do it from the heart. And I take one example.
I'm sorry, from Consul General, he is already gone. Kashmir File you are listening nowadays. I was thinking, we also read for those people who were beaten up, murdered in Kashmir. We feel so sorry too. But who is going to talk about the 4,000 years that happened to our people? And when our movie, that was history of the 2006 by Jagat Patel, that was banned. Shudra the Rising last year, that was banned. So who is going to listen about our people too? Or just use a boardman? I'm sorry to say that from the stage. We have to, everybody have to fight for family, brother and sister. We have no problem over here. So we have to have the courage to say something about the Indian people, brothers, sisters, what is happening over there. So I will not take too much time. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. This is a great moment. And I always salute you, all the members, and we will keep it together. And please get together all the Punjabi community. We are also being over there. I have got one thing to say. When Rajiv Gandhi, me and Pindrapal went to Consul in 2008, Dr. A.M. Bhandari, he was from Maharashtra, right? He was over there. Then I saw the photo on the table, and he was so happy. And I proposed, why not to celebrate in the Consul General, sir? He said, come on. Then we celebrate together. So this time, when our candidate and chairman, Vishnu Maya and Dr. John were sitting with the foreign minister on the same stage, so this is only due to Rajiv Gandhi, I give him the more character because he was a link between Punjabis and the Maharashtra community. And Himant Sudhir, I cannot forget him. He was from India. He made the scene. And we have to continue the link furthermore. We have to take permission furthermore. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jai Bhim. Punjabi बोलना जय भीम
जय भीम सर जय भीम
Hello. Thank you for coming today. Just to Dr. Ardez Sahab has been affiliated with the Ravidas Sabha and Nagapura Cultural Society for many years. He is a well-known figure, very active in the Midnight Circle here in the United States and India. Thank you for gracing this event with your presence. Thank you so much. For your gracious statement, thank you, Ardez Sahab. So our next speaker actually, she's from the field of academia and the social services, Dr. Vishnu Maya Kalia. She has been a founding president of ADWA, Association for the Dalit Women's Advancement of Nepal. She's advisor to the Jersey City Mayor's Office for the Diversity and Inclusion, and also advisory board member of the Jersey City Employment and Training Program, and the co-chair for the UNCSW, the Commission on Status of Women. She's been in the field of social services for many years, more than a decade. Currently working as a domestic violence and sexual violence advocate at the Point now. Having earned her bachelor's degree in the social science and the political system from the Nepal and USA and master's degree in international development and social change from the Clark University. She also received honorary doctor of letters from the Pine College for her outstanding social contribution in the year 2011. She is a dedicated social service professional who really wants to help and empower those who need through her vast experience and knowledge. Please help me welcome Dr. Vishnu Maya Kalia.
Good afternoon and namaste to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee and the cultural affair. I know my friend is here, and also the immigration affair for giving this special space for this important event. I think we made the history. It's not only in Jersey City, we have to do this in every city and every state. Let's work together. As you see from my last name, I'm from Nepal. I am the only one speaker from Nepal, and we have some activists from Nepal. We are here for the solidarity because we carry the same agenda, and we are working on the same agenda to eradicate caste system in the world. That's what we are here for. You know, when we speak after many speakers, and you have nothing to tell because they told everything that what you wanted to tell, but I want to add some important thing. You know, in this room, I'm sure many people's life struggle are similar to the Dr. Ambedkar as a Dalit. I'm sure everyone, so-called Dalit, have been going through this very difficult situation, and I can relate my life with Dr. Ambedkar. Growing up in Nepal, in very poor country and poor family, it was very hard and it was very struggle to be who I am today. In that isolated place, no one would send their kids to school. And I'm proud to say that I was the only girl from any caste who graduated first time in my high school because my father knew the value of education. My father knew the value of education, even though he did not have enough money to send his 11 kids to school. But you know one thing, when we set the goal in our life, what you want to be, even though we face so many challenges and obstacles, we reach the goal one day. That's what I did. You know, Dr. Ambedkar had done incredible job. He fought for us, he fought for social justice, he fought for caste discrimination. And as other speakers said, he's not only the father of Indian Constitution, he's the father of the world. I don't think only India should celebrate his birthday, you know, we all have to do, the world has to celebrate his legacy, and we have to follow his legacy. You know, he has so many important advice for us. One advice I'm focusing on is educate and organize. That's what we have done. I know our keynote speaker, Professor, had also emphasized that education is the most important thing. I know so many Dalit, so-called Dalit, they don't have equal opportunity like other people in our country, in Nepal and in India too. But you know, if you are educated, no can stop you. So whatever small person I am today is because of the education. That's why whatever Dr. Ambedkar said, educate and organize, that's what I am doing. I know I came from very low background, and going to school was not easy. I used to humiliate, tease, and bullied by the other people. And I never, react that suffer. And everyone suffered that, being Dalit, right? In school, I know the keynote speaker said, Baba Saheb Ambedkar did not drink water. Same thing happened before I knew the Baba Saheb Ambedkar when I was going to school. My school was not close to my home. I had to walk 2 hours each way, like 4 hours per day, per day, so 6 days per week. And there was a high caste people who between my home and the school. And there were 3 girls, 3 boys and girls with me. They were going to school with me that time. They were from high caste. They used to drink water from the high caste people's jug. And being Dalit, I had to ask to put the water on my hand, so I had to drink. I did not want to humiliate. I did not want to, suffer. I rather justice. That's what I did. So, we talk a lot, and we have this kind of event many times, and many conferences, many workshops about Dalit and caste issue, and many like talk show. But we should not just leave it on top. We have to do our work. That's why we are doing in Nepal. With my organization, we are supporting poor and needy Dalit children. About 21,000 Dalit children are going to school because I did not want other Dalit kids like me who had to struggle. And we have organized more than 60,000 Dalit women in our program. So now they become the agent of social change. That's why I always say, if we don't work in grassroots level, if we just do this kind of event and workshop and conference in other, in US, in other part of the world, in the city, so our people, they don't care, they don't know what is going on. That's why we have to organize, we have to empower, we have to educate our people in the grassroots level. They are the one who need change. That's why I always believe this, even though I go to United Nations, I'm part of the United Nations department, and people come here from all over the world, and political leaders and like activists, they come to event and speak about saying that we don't have any problem here, like last year, 2 years ago, we had the high-level political forum. I had the big kind of discussion with our minister because she was saying that Professor wrote our constitution in Nepal. I'm sure he knows what is written in constitution. Like it protects, when you read the constitution, it protects Dalit, right, and minorities. In reality, it is not true. The incident always happening. Dalit are killed and murdered. Dalit women are raped and murdered, and there is no justice. That's why we should not just, we should not just read what it is written in constitution. We have to empower and educate our people in the grassroots level, and that's what I want to tell everyone that even we are here, let's do something back home. The change should happen in back home, not only here. And that's it. So, change is possible, is slowly, and we are not Dalit, we are the dignified people. Thank you.
Dr. Parikar, thank you. Today you spoke about the struggle of Dalits in Nepal. You personally talk about your own personal struggle growing up in Nepal and as a Dalit woman. As they say, as a Dalit, you have to work twice hard, and I cannot even quantify the number as a Dalit woman how hard you have to work. But you mentioned that you drew inspiration from Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's work. We truly appreciate your commitment and your work towards the cause of empowerment of the Dalits in Nepal and across the world. Thank you so much for your attendance. Thank you. Please give a big round of applause to Dr. Parikar and Thank you, Dr. Parikar. I would like to call upon now to introduce the next speaker. Please. Thank you, Niraj. So far, how are you doing, guys? Okay. We are right on schedule. As Eric said earlier, the visa is being served for the kids. I know it is getting a little late, but then our team from ISC will be joining us around 1 o'clock. Post that, we are going to have lunch, so please be patient with us. The next speaker we have with us is again one of our important friends, in New Jersey. We have been working with him. Please join me to welcome Mr. Salman Sheikh. He is representing Indian American Muslim Council, and it is our pleasure to have him on the board. Please.
Thank you, Nathan. Thanks to the IIM, respected. Yes, I want to speak here in multiple capacities. I want to speak here as an Indian Muslim American. I want to speak here as a Columbia University alumni, fellow alumni of Dr. Ambedkar, which I feel very proud of. And I want to speak here as a world citizen, because Dr. Ambedkar is a world leader, not just an Indian leader. So first, as an Indian Muslim, I have a long history of family association with Dr. Ambedkar from my ancestors on my maternal side. And not many people are aware that Indian Muslims have had a very long association and very constructive partnership with Dr. Ambedkar. As we all know that Dr. Ambedkar is the author of our brilliant Constitution of India. But what many people don't know, that when he was standing for election for the Constituent Assembly from Bombay, he was made to lose the election. And then Indian Muslims from Bengal, they got a seat which they had won for the Constituent Assembly. They resigned from the seat and had a by-election to send Dr. Ambedkar to the Constituent Assembly. So without the Indian Muslim support, Dr. Ambedkar could not even have been in the Constituent Assembly. He could not have been in the Constitution. And then, of course, he is one of the prominent students of India abroad, and he was in my alma mater also, Columbia University. So I owe it to him to have shown the path, But I really want to say that as a world citizen, because Dr. Ambedkar is beyond, he belongs to the world, not just to India, not just to us. He belongs to the world, and he is from the long line of other compatriots. In the US, we talk about Martin Luther King Jr., we talk about Malcolm X, and he is on the same path. In fact, they got inspired from somebody like him, because he showed the way at the time when nobody used to talk about these things. So he is a world leader, and we have to not only celebrate his birthday, but we have to join his mission, because his mission is not yet complete. His mission is not yet complete. We need to do more than join his birthday. Of course, we should, and I'm very happy to be here. And I thank again Ambedkar Convention and also the City Council and everybody involved. But we have to make sure that we walk the talk and not just talk the talk. We have to work for equality. We have to work for a casteless society. We have to work to get rid of racism and inequality. Work for justice. And this is an unfinished task. We have to work on this. The Quran is very clear that all of you are made from one soul. We are all one family, one brotherhood, one sisterhood. All humans are equal. There is no superiority, there is no inferiority, except by righteousness, by our deeds, not by our birth. This is a message which has to be proclaimed again and again, because so much in the world needs this message. We need the equal opportunity. So let us come together today and every day to celebrate not only the birthday of Dr. Ambedkar, but also work on his cause and bring our children to know about this. Our children need to know about this, because our children are going to face a world which unfortunately has more and more inequality, which unfortunately has more and more bigotry, which unfortunately has more and more injustice. So if we need to have our children read tomorrow, they need to know about it. And finally, I'd like to invite all of you tomorrow evening, we have an Ambedkar Jayanti Aftar. This is Ramadan, we have Aftar. So this is in Ambedkar Iman Academy in Hazard, New Jersey. Brother Peter and others have the details. We would love to have one of their clients over there, families, communities, children, and especially for children, we are having a special program. We have a nice cake for Ambedkar Jayanti. So I would like to welcome all of you tomorrow 6 p.m. at Bethel Academy, New Jersey, and again, thank you very much, and I congratulate you all of you again. But remember that we have to continue this class. It's not a one-off thing; it's a continuous struggle for the benefit of all humanity. Thank you very much.
Very, very thank you. you rightly said, it's a continuous journey. Equality, plurality, slavery, fraternity. We have to keep it developing. We have to keep aligned with the like-minded people, and we have to keep that developing. So thank you very much for joining with us. Please, may I request President to welcome you on the please. Come on. Salaam, please. Thank you very much. I know we are all starving, but before that, let's lighten up a little bit. Let's have an inspirational song, a poem by our very young and dynamic friend and member of the Transportation, Mr. Vikas Parekh. Please join me to welcome Mr. Vikas Parekh.
Taking one around, I know it's getting late, but after this, we are going to have a lunch. So please be here just for a couple of minutes. So on the occasion of Baba Saheb Ambedkar Jayanti, I composed one poem. The poem is, "What a great moment. History we made. 14th April Equality Day. Change is vital. Thanks to City Council agency. Connecting the dots from Lincoln came to Ambedkar. I will love it forever because the gesture is the best. The gesture is the best. The gesture is the best." I'm going to recite one Marathi song. It consists, the writer, he already envisioned that in every nook and corner of the world, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar is recognized. So the song is, "हे खरंच आहे खरं, हे खरंच आहे खरं, के भीमराव रामजी आंबेडकर, बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर, नाव हे गाजतंय हो जगभर, नाव हे गाजतंय हो जगभर. महाविरोधक टाळला, सारा समाज सांभाळला, कोटी कोटीचा उद्धार केला, हो श्री बांधीला मनाचा शेला. अंधरुढीला गुलामगिरीला, अंधरुढीला गुलामगिरीला, लावली आता तर, लावली आता तर, बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर, नाव हे गाजतंय हो जगभर, नाव हे गाजतंय हो जगभर. जाती भेदाच्या तोडील्या बेड्या तोफा, माग सत्याचा दाबीला सोपा, आम बांधून ठेवलाय खोपा, हो बौद्ध धर्माचा चांगला सोफा. जाणून वरती सुखान जगती, जाणून वरती सुखान जगती, दलितांची लेकर, दलितांची लेकर, बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर, नाव हे गाजतंय हो जगभर, नाव हे गाजतंय हो जगभर. थँक्यू.
Genuine everyone. Greetings on the 131st birth anniversary of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, all of you. As we all know, Dr. Ambedkar Jayanti is always a very joyous and celebratory event for all of us. But what makes it so special this year is the fact that the city of Jersey City has announced Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar birth anniversary, the 14th of April, as Equality Day. And this is a very significant step in the right direction,
because as our esteemed speakers earlier mentioned that Dr. Ambedkar is a global figure. His values and his teachings are applicable to all of humanity. He has a global appeal and his persona is at international level, and I think this announcement of Equality Day on his birth anniversary pretty much reflects that. It is a testimony of his international persona. To get to this point, it has been, there has been a lot of effort that has been put by various folks. So let's take the opportunity to touch upon that part. The efforts for the historic introduction was initiated and by the winner of this commission.
Good evening, everyone. We will have to take a break for a while because there are some of the speakers who didn't want to be recorded. So we will continue this in another half an hour or so. Please feel free to join and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Sushant. I just wanted to know that if I need to contact you and maybe I'd like to introduce myself in the meeting. Is that allowed?
Right now, some of the dignitaries are speaking. We didn't wish to be recorded. But if you want to get in touch, please feel free to send an email to info@missionambedkar.org.
Okay.
You can note it down. info@ambedkarmission.org.
I think this is the same is mentioned on the website as well, I guess.
Yes. So it is the same. Please contact us. We will be very happy to get in touch with you and we can collaborate as well.
Wonderful. Just one thing I would like to mention that so myself Sushant, and I'm studying LLM in human rights at SOAS. Why I'm mentioning with this that I recently got elected as a president of the student union in the welfare and the campaigns, and it is said that I'm a first Dalit who has been elected as a president of the student union. And day before yesterday, I was invited at the Indian Embassy, Indian High Commission at UK, and delivered a very short speech. And if I get an opportunity to interact with a lot more people from our community, I'll be grateful. I will not take much of your time. Thank you.
Congratulations to you, and all your efforts are really commendable. We would love to hear from you more. Please get in touch with us. Send us an email. We would definitely love to hear more from you, and we can definitely collaborate further.
Thank you so much. May I know your good name?
Really appreciate for joining the call.
May I know your good name, please?
My name is Sandesh Nagarare. I'm one of the core members for AIM USA.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.